smarter wine, because the wine industry needs a good kick in the pants.
We thought it might be useful to take you away from the fair, from the hustle and bustle, to take a few minutes talking and thinking about change and how it affects us all in the wine trade.
Businesses fail because they fail to embrace change.
Whatever we do, wherever we go, we cannot escape it.
Changing tastes in what we wear, what we listen to, what we eat, and what we drink. We're all obsessed with what's cool and what's not.
Terroir is dead. Long live terroir.
I mean, you've got to love it, the idea that a magical parcel of vines makes a magical wine year in, year out, completely different from the vineyard next door, even though they might be made exactly the same way. I mean, on one side of the road, you might have a wine that people would sell their grandmother for. On the other side of the road, they might not even give you the time of day. But terroir is an old concept, and I'm afraid it's here to stay. Bottle of Mazzy Chambertin, anyone? Nick, yeah.
There are whole sectors of the market, the less expensive end of the spectrum, where other things matter to the consumer as well.
If you can't talk about terroir, most people in the wine trade default to quality.
Where it gets interesting is to try to discover those things that make the consumer buy products and then repeat that purchase a while later. Things we don't necessarily think about. Particularly when you think about it that so much of the change going on is positive for the wine category. Look, for example, at the internet. It gives us the opportunity to encourage the consumer deeper and deeper into wine. Look at the fact that we can market niche products now to niche consumers using the internet. Look at the way, on another hand, whereby the consumer is demanding more naturalness and provenance in what they eat and drink. Qualities which are the very essence of wine.
Isn't it about time we took quality and sight as a given and thought up more meaningful messages? I mean, let's face it, most of the people at the show can make wine, but how many of them can produce an end product that people actually want to buy?
Too often businesses want to sell what they can buy rather than selling what the customer wants to buy. And it just has to start with what the customer wants and then work back from that.
As a retailer, that's what I'm really interested in. What really matters to the people who are buying our wines. If we can hit the right chords with the people, we'll all do a lot better out of it. So, what do consumers want and expect from their wine experience? And is it what we think they want?
Our marketplace is more competitive than ever. At Tesco, we need to constantly think of new ways to engage and excite our customers. Ways other than just price and promotion. Every product in this entire store should, in a perfect world, have a really good reason for being there. A few months ago, I said to the drinks business, bring us innovation, don't bring us deals. Tesco's door is always open to suppliers who want to find new and smarter ways of selling wine to challenge the status quo and to really make us sit up and take notice.
There's nothing wrong with what was done in the past. It's a perfectly good place to start when thinking about what you do in the future. We called our plans in Sainsbury's Making Sainsbury's Great Again because there were great things we did in the past, but we had to put them in a modern context.
Like Bob Dylan said, the times, they are changing.
Face up to the future.
Sex sells, but not just for the reason you think it does.
Computer technology, for instance, has fundamentally changed our lives over the last 10 years.
Once there were nothing more than primitive adding machines and word processors. Not like now.
Now they're style objects as well as machines, things that we want at the centre of our lives. And it's all about you, your music, your photos, your movies, your life, making it sound and look good and sharing it with the entire world.
Thanks to the second coming of the internet, i.e. Web 2.0, millions and millions and millions of people can suddenly talk to each other in a way they haven't been able to talk to each other before through the usage of online social networks, blogs and MySpace and Facebook and all these very simple, very cheap, easy to use tools. Suddenly, you no longer control the conversation of the product you make. And this affects all marketing profoundly. This affects all business profoundly because suddenly they are in charge. We're no longer in charge. And we have to get to grips with that or else face extinction.
YouTube. And I'm addicted to YouTube.
It's never been easier to tell people what matters to you, to be creative, and to have lots of fun. At Nando's, fun is our business. We never really took wine that seriously until we realised wine holds a very special place in people's hearts, and it plays its part in the overall Nando's experience.
Here's the puzzle. If so many other industries are forging ahead and positioning themselves at the cutting edge in this changing world, why is it that the wine trade struggles with change?
So, what does innovation mean to you?
Innovation is the crucial factor to the success of any business. You just cannot afford to stand still in our day and age. In the restaurant business specifically, in the wine business too, you have to show your customers that you are moving, you're changing, you're not averse to change.
It's important for the wine trade to be aware that consumer tastes must and will change, continually change.
And I think the way we communicate with consumers, we're still kind of trapped in the past. I think there's still the mentality that you need to encourage consumers somehow to come to your winery or meet the winemaker or taste the wine. You know, how many consumers can actually do that? You've actually got to somehow bring all that passion, that personality and soul and actually put it in the kind of consumer's living room somehow or on the shelf.
I think the problem with our industry is we look at it from the wrong way around. Well, exactly. We're production focused, we're not looking at where the consumer's at, and we don't actually really give a damn what they think at the end of the day. It's got to change.
Yeah. Innovation is more than just simply changing the way we look at a product, the way we look at a label. It's about re-establishing people's criteria for what makes wine exciting, what makes beer exciting, what makes spirits exciting.
Largely speaking, consumers are much more knowledgeable than they were 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, and because of that, they want more from it. They don't want to be flattered or patronised anymore. They want to connect with the product on an even keel. Like you said, with an iPod, you know, it's a convenience tool that people know they want, and they know how to operate those sort of things now.
Innovation tends to be a redundant word in the wine industry. Nobody really looks at it from the consumer up, and I think there's a mistake there. There's a lot of emotion tied into wine brands. People tend to want the family name and the family chateau on the label, but we really don't think about the end user enough.
Quite frankly, I don't think there's much going on. There's lots of redesign, lots of new packaging, lots of exciting things going on in terms of sponsorship, and then groovy ideas in the marketing sense, but in terms of real true innovation in our industry, quite frankly, it's just not happening.
Back in the 60s, a U.S. Supreme Court Justice, Judge Potter Stewart, famously described pornography as something that he wasn't sure how to describe it, but he knew it when he saw it. And that's how we feel about innovation in wine. Everybody asks for it, but if you ask somebody to describe it, they have a terrible time doing it. They just know it when they see it.
Never try to sell a meteor to a dinosaur. It's a waste of your time, and it really annoys the dinosaur.
Maybe one of the problems is that none of us in our industry are good enough at understanding what the consumer really wants from their wine experience. So, what does today's consumer really want?
A wine they like, in a package that works, and a price that's right. Let's be honest, we all want to feel good about spending our hard-earned cash.
But more than that, I'd say they want something else. Something we are very good at here in London. They want to be entertained. Fashion, music, cool stuff for the home, things for your everyday life. The really strong brands are those which engage and entertain customers on many levels.
People don't just want a product at a good price. What they want is meaning in their lives, relevance, humanity. The market for something to believe in is infinite.
This business model has to work. We need the money.
Today's wine business is tough, and because it is so tough, it's sometimes easy to lose sight of what really matters to the consumer. But making smarter wine needn't be that hard.
Get the basics right first. Quality, style, and price.
And then the fun part can begin.
Think of your product more as like MySpace page, this little thing that just tells your story very quickly to the world in a more engaging level than traditional media. That's what smarter wine means. It doesn't mean being smarter.
Why can't a wine company, even a small one, see Apple or Microsoft or even Coca-Cola as their competition?
One of the things we talk about is thinking like a number two, even if you're a number one, because that keeps you on your toes. As soon as you start thinking like a number one, you get complacent. You stop worrying about whether any of your competitors are doing a better job. So think like a number two.
It's your industry. The future is in your hands.
So, Michael, what are we doing here today at the Natural History Museum? museum.
I suppose it's because we are the wine trade dinosaurs.
Indeed we are.
Tristeza